Hello and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
And I'm Jeff Onan.
Jeff, hi.
Hey, Hyle.
What do you want to discuss today?
Blazeball.
What is Blazeball, Jeff?
Well, Blazeball is like a communal metagame where thousands of players can bet money on these simulated baseball games that happen, and then they use their money, not real money, it's like game money, and then they use that money to influence things in an election that will help out their team, and then you have another season of simulated games. There's this giant peanut god, and then Jalen Hot Dog Fingers came back to life, but now they're dead again. It's really good.
Yeah, I don't want to just talk about that. You might say I'm rather blasé about Blazeball.
Oh, I didn't like that one. Let's not.
You weren't a fan of that one because they're like spelled
I wasn't
the
a fan
same.
of that one.
Okay,
It's sorta,
right.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, they're sort of spelled the same.
You're not really into splorts, are you?
No, I mean, I tried to get into Niffle, the one with the Tom Brady. I heard he was like deflating his balls, and I was like, well, that's a pretty cool superpower. But it was never. It was like it never came up. Don't these people know Chekhov's gun, the screenwriting principle, where if you introduce something, it has to pay off in Act 3. So, I can deflate my balls. Well, that's weird. How's that going to pay off? And it doesn't. Waste of my time.
Okay. Do you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, let's discuss Sea of Thieves.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, hey, by the way, before we talk about Sea of Thieves, we'll be discussing all of the Sea of Thieves updates over the summer, of which there were only 3 because of COVID.
They updated the game 4 times, but one of them wasn't really a monthly event like they normally have, so...
Okay, well, yeah, things are kind of slow a little bit because they're mostly working from home still because of the pandemic, but...
Hyle, try this one on. Okay, ready? Slovid-19.
Okay.
That's like a Blazeball tier joke. It's not great. It's not
no, it's not. Even though they've been kind of slower in their updates, they have been pretty consequential updates. So we're going to be discussing them. But if you want to stay abreast of the Sea of Thieves situation on a week-to-week basis and not have to wait for a Donkey Kong podcast to talk about it 3 times a year or whatever, check out Golden Sands blog post. Jeff, tell them about Golden Sands blog post.
Well, it's a blog. So Golden Sands blog post is my blog. You can find it at medium.com/golden-sands-blog post or dkvine.com/Golden Sands blog post or follow on Twitter at Golden Sands blog. And it basically is about Sea of Thieves and nothing else. So don't follow it if you don't like Sea of Thieves. But I think you might, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this episode. Unless you just like the sound of my voice, which would be weird because it's not amazing or anything.
Oh, Jeff, you sell yourself short. It's not amazing, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I have an average voice. It's fine.
Yeah, and Chris Alcock really likes to impersonate your voice when you're not around.
Yeah, and he makes fun of me for having a beard. What's with that? I don't always get that guy. I don't know about that guy.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Write a book about it.
We're going to be discussing a little bit of Chris Alcock's brain droppings on this episode that have worked their way into the game. So I'm talking about the character of Lorena as a brain dropping, which, like, she's a fine character, but...
yeah, she just dropped right out of that guy's brain, right into his tea. She's
in the game, but... Chris Alcock's Jeff Onan impersonation is not in the game as of yet. As of recording time. We're recording this on October 17th in the year 2020, the year of our log. So, anyway, yeah, Golden Sands blog post. It's how I keep up with Sea of Thieves. Jeff and Dre, who run it, I would not be able to juggle my DK Vine responsibilities where I have to focus on new games and also games that are 25 years old. I would not be able to keep up with the living game that is Sea of Thieves if it wasn't for their hard work corralling all of the updates, info, and little tiny things like, hey, there are going to be Twitch drops this week. If you watch these streamers, you get stuff in the game. Or, hey, there's this charity thing only on a Microsoft store. Even stuff like that doesn't always get broadcast on Rare's social media channel. So it's really helpful to have it all like in one place. So thanks, Jeff and Dre, if you're listening.
You're welcome.
That's as nice as I'm going to be to you for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, you got to get it out at the top so that then you can really bring out the teeth later on.
Yeah, I do like biting. And I like being bit, too.
Yeah, okay. All right. We'll do some kind of...
bite each other 69 kind of thing, so...
Yeah.
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, that's going to be our Halloween costume this year. We're just going to...
It'll be a really lengthy explanation every time we knock on a trick-or-treat house. We'll be like... We'll have to say... And we can't really say it because we're biting each other. It's like
right, and one of us is upside down, apparently.
Yeah, your kilt is like inverted. We just looking at your diaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about Sea of Thieves, though.
Yeah, so this has been a pretty cool summer. I mean, it's been a pretty bleak summer with the pandemic, and I've been battling anxiety and depression, the worst I've felt in probably a decade. So in that respect, it's been a terrible summer. But for Sea of Thieves, it's been a really cool summer because they have added not just like updates, like, oh, now like we have these minor quality of life updates in the game. I mean, there has been that, but there have been very, very like consequential things added to the game. And it seems like every time we do one of these episodes, it's kind of a cliche between us at this point, but we just remark how much there is to do in Sea of Thieves now. And it's true, and it's still true, and it's still becoming more true all the time. But with the things added over the summer, I feel like there's not just a whole lot to do, but there's such a wide variety of things to do that it's still overwhelming, but it also, like, anytime you jump into the game by yourself or with your friends, you really have just such a wide variety of things you want to focus on. Like right now in the month of October, when we're doing our Stream of Thieves sessions on Sunday mornings into Sunday afternoon, we're focusing on the spooky stuff. And it's just great that there's this whole like category of varied things we can do that would qualify as spooky stuff as opposed to like all the other things in the game. There's just a lot. And what they brought into the game in the last few months have been some of my most wanted features. In particular, the ghost ship battles have been something I've wanted in the game since I first like saw stuff about the game at Rare and like saw concept art and what their plans were, and the ghost ships really excited me. And then they just weren't in the game for the longest time. And now that they are in the game, it's fantastic. And like anything else, there is a story explanation for why they suddenly exist. It's servicing game mechanics, but it's also building up to future events and the continuing, evolving story and lore of the game. So this is carrying on from our last catch-up episode where we caught up through, I guess that was the May update, Lost Treasures. And now you, as you were just alluding to with Ghost Ships, that came in the June update, Haunted Shores. Can you really allude to anything with Ghost Ships other than Ghost Ships? Like it's like, as I was alluding to when I brought up the Ghost Ships, yeah, there are now shanty selections that you can choose from. No, Haunted Shores was the big June update. It's a little hard to parse this out because the updates aren't like dropping at the beginning of the month or even at the middle of the month. A lot of them have been kind of showing up towards the end of the month. So I'm trying to remember, like, was it June or was it July or was
right?
This was June.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned that these ghost ships. So I guess we should explain what ghost ships are. Although I guess a little bit that's self-explanatory, it's self-evident. But you've got ships in the game that are now spectral, transparent, spooky ships that come from the Sea of the Damned, which is the realm in between our world and the afterlife, in the Sea of Thieves.
Essentially, the river Styx if it were an ocean.
Yeah, and so the ghost ships are like they're like the spirits or memories of sunken ships from the past that are being brought back as ghosts, and they are, I guess, they're under the control or allegiance of Captain Flameheart, and he's a bad guy, so they're bad. And you got to kill them. You got to kill these ghosts, or else there will be too many ghosts. So
it's not really killing them so much as
just kind of subduing them until they go back where they came from.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, obviously, ghost ships are a big time of naval and maritime legends, and so naturally they would be incorporated into Sea of Thieves eventually. But first, they introduced the Skelly ships, the ones captained and manned by skeleton crews, and they were introduced in, was it
Cursed Sails?
Cursed Sails, yeah,
in July of 2018.
So many fucking updates to remember their names. Cursed Sails introduced the Skelly ships, and a lot of the Sea of Thieves fandom started referring to the Skelly ships as ghost ships, and that kind of became the standard terminology, or at least the casual terminology. It was never endorsed by Rare, obviously, because Rare knew they were going to introduce ghost ships eventually. I saw I saw animated artwork for the ghost ships at Rare in 2016, and I was like, oh man, it was just the green kind of hazy, distorted visuals. It really excited me, and then they introduced Skelly ships, and everybody's calling these ghost ships, and I'm like, in the back of my head, because I can't say anything because I'm under perpetual NDA, but I'm like, these aren't ghost ships. They're gonna introduce ghost ships. Stop it. Call them Skelly ships. But
yeah, not everyone called them ghost ships. Like, some people would call them scallions, skeleton galleons, and then
I like
later
that
because
it's absolutely shit, but it's such the beautiful dumpster fire of language that I adore so much.
Yeah. So we should add that the Haunted Shores update that brought in these ghost ships, it was not the first that we've seen ghost ships in the game, in Sea of Thieves. They actually were kind of first introduced in the Seabound Soul Tall Tale, which launched with the Seabound Soul update in November of 2019. And so that Tall Tale saw us sort of following a trail of some ghost ships that, like, reliving an event that happened, and in their wake we go along kind of saving some lost souls. Spoilers, but that Tall Tale, this is actually spoilers now, so if you haven't played that Tall Tale, maybe tune out for like 2 minutes. But that Tall Tale introduced Captain Flameheart to the game, who we knew from promotional materials and we knew from expanded universe material, but he had never been in the game. And in that Tall Tale, Captain Flameheart was brought, his soul was released, and now he's kind of a ghostly presence, I would call him. And so that was our first look at ghost ships, but they weren't interactable. They weren't like something that could attack you and you could fight back against.
Yeah, in like the the realm of like spookology, it would be what you would call like an imprint haunting, where it's not actually this manifestation that's this consciousness. It's just kind of a recording of things that happens, like spiritual energy versus an actual active haunting. And that's
like
what we
the
get.
fate of the Morningstar Tall Tale.
Yeah.
Another ghostly one. See, there's so much ghostly spooky in Sea of Thieves. You can spooky with so much stuff.
But yeah, now we've actually got ghost ships that interact with the environment. They're an active threat. They're a threat to you and your crew, and you got to take them out. And
yeah, and they're not an emergent thing. Like you could get randomly attacked by a skeleton ship when you're out at sea, or a megalodon. But you won't get randomly attacked by a ghost ship. They instead will haunt specific islands. And so there's two ways this can happen. One is you can go on a voyage. The Order of Souls will give you a quest and say there's a kind of a fleet of ghost ships haunting a particular island. And when you start that voyage, you go there and you'll find these ghost ships. And they circle the island, and you have to shoot them with cannonballs enough times to make all the ghost ships go away, and they'll drop ghostly treasure, which is new. It's just the same as regular treasure, but it looks pretty. It's like spectral. But the other way that they can show up, the more exciting way, is a world event like a raid. And so in the past, we have had previously two different versions of these. At launch of the game, there were skeleton forts, which would be denoted by a skull cloud, a cloud shaped like a skull floating in the sky over a fort, an island that's just got these encampments built on it that the skeletons are like using to like stronghold up their treasure. And you go there and you fight a bunch of skeletons. Then the second one they added was in that Cursed Sails update. They added a ship-shaped cloud that will denote a fleet of skeleton ships that you can fight, waves and waves of them out at sea. And what makes those world events, those big cloud events, what makes them exciting is that everyone on the server can see that it's happening. And when you go there, other people could come to that cloud too. Or there might already be people there, or you could go there and someone else can come, and then you might form an alliance, or you might fight over the treasure, or whatever. But now, then they added the Ghost Ship World event, which is where Flameheart himself will appear in the sky as a giant talking head and over top of an island, and his particular fleet of ships, including his own personal ship, the Burning Blade, will haunt that island, and you have to take out waves and waves of ghosts. And yeah, I want to say this is probably the most fun, like, unique gameplay addition they've added to the game outside of like a Tall Tale. You know, they've added things like the skeleton ships, they've added the megalodons and things, and a lot of cool stuff. But I think that circling the island, trying to avoid the fire of these, you know, you'll have like 11 ghost ships at once circling this island, and so you could get really pummeled. You never see that with other ships like skeleton ships, because the server couldn't handle all of that, you know, that many physics objects in one place. But the ghost ships are kind of like, they don't behave the same, so they can cheat on it, and they can have a lot of them, and that really gives it this feeling of a giant fight. And it's just so much fun. I don't know about you, but you know, I have had so much fun doing them over the summer. While Flameheart kind of, you know, Flameheart is snarking at you the whole time with little quips and things.
I was going to say Flameheart really comes across like an antagonistic, decapitated, flaming Cranky Kong skull. That he's just there to give you shit and to kind of demoralize you as you're trying to take out his fleet. But I mean, that's really, it really makes it feel like it is something that is important to the game world versus just like, oh, a Skelly Fort, which has very little consequence. I mean, this is the same principle, but having the actual like big bad of the game at the moment in the game personally taunting you and any other crews who manage to get into the battle, that it makes it feel like it matters more than just, oh, there's a bunch of skeletons at a fortress, let's go wreck their shit. So it makes me wonder, though, what will happen when the Flameheart story of Flameheart's resurgence and all of his forces, which is really just sort of like Lord of the Rings, where like Sauron is back and he's growing in power slowly and trying to take over Middle Earth. That's what Flameheart is, and that's what Flameheart is doing. But it makes me wonder what the Flameheart battles will look like once Flameheart's story is done via Tall Tales or whatever mechanism they choose to wrap it up. If they're just going to introduce, like, because this is Flameheart Senior, by the way. There was a lot of question about whether this was the original Flameheart, who up until this point was only alluded to in expanded universe materials, or if this was Flameheart Jr., the son, who was actually one of the protagonists of the Tales from the Sea of Thieves book. And it was revealed that, no, this is actually Flameheart Sr., the father, and Jr. hasn't appeared in the game yet. So it makes me wonder if he'll pop up after the fact to kind of be the placeholder Flameheart. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking, or if they even have a plan yet.
Yeah, that's something we have no idea what's going to happen with that. And what's been great about this year, about like the past 12 plus months of Sea of Thieves, ever since they went to monthly updates, is that it's felt like it's been building. Like, it's been 1 month after the other, building a story. And in many ways, this story with the ghost ships, the beginning of this, of the cause of bringing these ghost ships back, was like September of last year was really the beginning, or was it October? No, it was September, when you had the dark relics were stolen. Somebody stole these dark relics from the Order of Souls, and they were doing some bad rituals with them and ritual skulls, and we had to go get them back. And then we find out that later it was Stitcher Jim doing that, and he used them to create the Fort of the Damned, and that kind of weakened the kind of veil between our world and the Sea of the Damned. It like opened a hole, and then from there, we got more. We had Pendragon released. The ghost of Arthur Pendragon was released from his prison, and then we went on a journey with him and accidentally released Flameheart. And then, like, through all that, the border between our world and the ghost world kind of started to break down. Now our pirates can revive. We didn't used to be able to revive, and so when you go down and you get, killed, your ghost starts to leave your body, and then one of your teammates or one of your crewmates can revive you back so you don't actually die. Your ghost will go back and you'll just stand back up and get back in the fight. And that's because this border between our world and the spirit realm, the Sea of the Damned, is the Sea of the Thieves. It's been weakened, and then that has finally built up to this big moment where Flameheart is able to punch these portal holes and just like through these portals bring entire ghostly galleons into the Sea of Thieves, and 11 of them at a time, like a whole bunch of them showing up, and then you get to kill them. And that's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I also like how culpable your pirate is or is made to personally feel for bringing Flameheart back in the end of Seabound Soul. So that I like how you're made to feel like personally responsible for the hell that has been unleashed with the forces of darkness growing.
Yeah, I really like that the through line of Sea of Thieves, all the way back to the Hungering Deep with the very first big event they did. The kind of theme is that your pirate just kind of causes bad things to happen just because it's like you just can't help but stir up the trouble because the trouble's there. Now once you know it's there, you got to do it. It's like how we were selling all that gold to the Reapers before they built the Reapers hideout. It's like, we know that this is gonna be bad, that we're helping out Flameheart, but there's money to be made on treasure, so we, you put the option there, we gotta do it, and then, the obvious consequence happens. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like owning Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
You just, you just
absolutely.
have it.
Look, I don't like helping put all of these smaller companies out of business and helping this monopoly of Jeff Bezos that is, crippling jobs everywhere. But at the same time, free 2-day shipping, how can I pass that up? Right.
And I don't want to get too far off topic, but who do you think is more likely to secretly be a murderer? Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk? Because I've been thinking a lot about this. And I think Elon Musk probably murders people, right?
Oh, absolutely. Why do you think he wants to go into space so bad? He just needs to find a place to put the bodies.
Of course, yeah. So nobody that smart and rich just doesn't murder people. Like, that guy does. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was way off. Please don't sue us, whoever's rich.
Yeah. I'm sure they both are frequent listeners of the Kongversation, especially the Sea of Thieves episodes. They can't get enough of that. Yeah,
they love it. They love it. They need to get caught up. It's what happened in Sea of Thieves 4 months ago. So these ghost ships do have a little bit of basis in DKU history.
Yes. Yeah,
or
and
future,
this is,
I guess. But
this is what is so exciting. Now, granted, I am not a dummy, Jeff, and I know this is a common misconception that I'm stupid, that I'm an idiot, that I huff glue and drink gasoline. I understand that, but I just want to put that notion to bed. No, I'm actually of average intelligence, and I'm not going to sit here and say, yes, Rare was deliberately calling back to a Game Boy Advance game from the year 2003 when they designed these ghost ships. I'm not going to do that. There's coincidence. There's the fact that it is the same studio, who's done these games. You're going to have similarities. So I'm not saying there's this deliberate connection here, but oh my God, it's spot on, and it really helps serve our narrative of a shared Donkey Kong universe.
Yeah, so of course what you're talking about is the ghost ship that appears in Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge, which is everybody's, at worst, fourth favorite Banjo game.
Right. Yeah, so in the world Breagle Beach, there aren't really boss fights in the game except for the final boss at the end and the boss fights against Klungo, but this is kind of like a mini boss where you go to Breagle Beach and then they say there's strange happenings, and then you go out to the pier and a ghost ship appears. And it's captained by a character who's never named, but I think Matt, our own Matt Corna, gave him the fanon name Cap'n Skeleton, with apostrophes where there should be vowels. But Captain Skeleton is a ghost skelly, a ghost skelly I guess these ghost skellies that appear in this game that we can take the skulls of, I guess. I don't know. But, his ghost ship, which is a galleon, if you study it, it matches more or less the galleons of Sea of Thieves. So obviously there's cosmetic differences in all the galleons across Rare's games, but they more or less line up. And it manifests and shimmers and appears exactly like the ghost ships in Sea of Thieves, right down to the green effect. So And you basically get rid of it by shooting eggs at it, which are, less powerful than cannonballs, so it takes a few more.
Eggs are just the cannonballs of the butt.
Well, it's not... I mean, Kazooie doesn't shard these out. It's done with Banjo holding her in the gun form.
Okay, but just because it come out the mouth doesn't mean it didn't originate in the butt.
That's true. I mean,
like in the interior.
Right? No, I know. I know what you're talking about. It's why I love eggs, Jeff.
Yeah.
It's why breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, because, it's not really acceptable any other time of the day to eat things of the butt.
Yeah. I only eat food that came from a butt.
But at breakfast, anything goes.
Like those those coffee beans that come out of cat butts?
Of course I know those, Jeff.
You drink that with some eggs at breakfast time? Whole butt breakfast ensemble? This is great. I'm sorry,
meal of the
audience.
day.
I'm drinking rum because it's a Sea of Thieves episode, so,
Naturally. So, was it of the butt?
It's butt rum, yeah. I've drank this rum twice.
Jeff, do you want to tell the audience your filtration technique from the butt?
Yeah,
because this could be important if you're ever stranded at sea and you need to survive. Jeff has some good tips for that.
Yeah, this is for our audience, which includes Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. But the trick is you just you don't shave that spot there where the butt is, and you grow your butt hairs so tight and so thick that that when you have the diarrhea water, it just comes out like purely filtered drinking water because of how thick the hairs are, and they're like a lattice of hair. Anyway. I didn't feel good about telling that story, Hyle. I wish you hadn't asked me to do that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was so eager to share, and I was so eager to help people with our podcast. For those,
I learned it from Bear Grylls off of
Bear Grylls. Is that his name?
From off of Survivor Man.
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Bear Grylls from off of Survivor Man. Yeah, also noted fan of the show. So he's probably sitting there.
Yeah.
Nodding along, saying yes.
Yeah, he has a sister named Bird, and they're the Bear and Bird, which I always found like a fun coincidence, given our audience. How we like Banjo-Kazooie, right? So yeah, you can Google that, everyone. You just Google that up, and you'll find that out. So anyway, yes, Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge was the main inspiration for Sea of Thieves, and that is why they put this connection in there.
No, it's great though. It's great though that they have that connection, like that. We the fans can then run with that and say, "Well, yes, Captain Skeleton in the year 1978, which is of course is when Grunty's Revenge mostly took place because of time travel hijinks." But Captain Skeleton's still manifesting from the Sea of the Damned. Some a couple hundred years after all this Flameheart nonsense. It's fun. It's fun, especially when you go through the logic that, we know Treasure Trove Cove is in Sea of Thieves, or in the Sea of Thieves. So Breagle Beach probably is too, so maybe Captain Skeleton will show up somewhere in Sea of Thieves. Probably not, because I still can't get TT in the game. But I've got a dream about something, Jeff. I don't have very many things to cling my hopes to and to look forward to.
That's just why you have to get into Blazeball. There's a season every week, and my team, the Canada Moist Talkers, just they got eliminated in the quarterfinals, but they were a division champ, and then making it to the playoffs is nothing to be upset about. Anyway, so another thing, what I love about the Ghost Ship battles is, like I said, they're what I think is the most fun activity you can do in the game that's been added. Like, I would say pretty confidently, I feel like they are the most fun one. But on top of that, I just love the visual effects. There's so many cool effects, and the sound effect, like all of the effects. The whole aesthetic appeal of it is off the charts because of, obviously, you have the spectral effect on the ships themselves, and then you've got Flameheart in the sky shouting at you and always looking and turning his head to look at your boat and stuff. And but the cannonballs that they fire are not cannonballs. They fire phantoms out of their cannons, and the phantoms come screaming at your ship, flying through the sky. There's flaming ones that are on fire, and they'll set your ship on fire. And they have these wraith balls that are just these giant screaming ghost faces that will knock your ship like you've been bit by a megalodon, just like completely knock your ship off course and do a ton of damage. And it's just so thrilling and beautiful, really. Like, all of the effects are awesome. And so that's something that I think they absolutely nailed. The sound team, the graphics team, engineering, all that good stuff. They just nailed it on the effects front.
Yeah, and the music during the battles is very evocative of, in my opinion, spooky. The spooky music from Conker's Bad Fur Day. So it has very much like the similar kind of Robin Beanland haunted house sound to it, and I mean that makes sense considering it is Robin Beanland, but all the same, it's one I definitely want on my Halloween playlist, along with Spooky itself.
Yeah, the music's awesome. Everything about it is awesome. That was just a home run Blazeball hit of an update. And there was other stuff going on in that update. It wasn't just the ghost ships. They had the new shanty selection wheel, where they added in new shanties, including the 1812 Overture, which is interesting from a lore perspective.
Yes,
because it shouldn't have been invented, right? Like, it should not have been invented yet.
This game takes place well before 1812, so to have a song called the 1812 Overture really complicates things. Of course, Ride of the Valkyries is in there, and that wasn't invented yet. Happy Birthday is in there. That was definitely not invented yet. So the idea is that all of these well-known songs from composers like Wagner with Ride of the Valkyries were actually stolen or pilfered by pirates, ironically enough, who had them as shanties that were known long before, which, obviously purists and musical scholars might have some quibbles about, but...
Yeah, but Marty McFly, he invented that song instead of Chuck Berry, right? So...
Well, no, people miss the point of that part of Back to the Future. It isn't that Marty McFly invented it. It's that he heard the song growing up, and then he went back in time.
Nobody invented it. It's like that's like a paradox. It's a Doctor Who episode or whatever. It's
the way
go back in time. You go back in time and you leave a transcript of Hamlet there for Shakespeare to find, and he just writes it down, and it's like, well, who really wrote Hamlet? Nobody knows. It just materialized through the time stream.
But the way Back to the Future works, the way the time travel works, it's not whatever happened. It's that you can go back and actually change the past. So,
oh yeah, I forgot.
The implication is that I hear it a lot. Oh, this white teenager from 1985 is credited with the creation of rock and roll. No, that's not what they're saying. They're saying it was just a fun little coincidence that Chuck Berry's relative was at that concert, and Chuck Berry would have written that anyway, even if he didn't hear that little snippet over the phone. Anyway.
Well, and speaking of this summer of Sea of Thieves and fun times and Back to the Future, I actually, probably around June or so when this update came out, I went to a drive-in movie and watched Back to the Future. So, speaking of like coincidences or whatever you were just talking about.
It's also really weird that you had to go back to 1955 to attend a drive-thru.
No, there's one. There's a drive-thru like an hour from me, and you can go there, you can watch it. And it's great for social distancing because you can just stay in your own car. And then, the regular movies are closed, and I hate that because I like to watch movies. So I go there, and then they let you bring in your own beverages and food and stuff. It's great. It's just great.
I like paying $12 for a pack of Sour Patch Kids, Jeff. I like that privilege because then it's like the best damn candy you've ever had.
No, check this out, though. You go to Dollar Tree and you spend $12 and you get 12 boxes of Sour Patch Kids. You eat all of them and then you throw up at the drive-in movies, but there's no one around to see it because of social distancing.
No, Jeff. I don't like that because if I'm gonna throw it up, I'd rather it come out my ass so I can use it as drinking water later.
Yeah, that's the Bear Grylls patented technique.
Right before he stuffs his sister in his backpack and goes out on an adventure.
Yeah, I mean, she learned to live in a backpack because it's a survival technique. Anyway, yeah, new shanties, 1812. Oh, the 1812 thing though. Honestly, I think it's just a premonition that they know of this song that hasn't been invented yet, and they called it 1812, which doesn't make sense. It's because the Order of Souls can see the future. So this shanty came into the Sea of Thieves by way of premonition, future foresight, and they just saw the future of 1812 and heard this song and they liked it because of that part with the cannons. You know that part where there's like that part with the cannons.
I do know that part.
Everybody likes that.
Cannons. Right.
Everyone likes that part.
All right. Well, there was also the Blighted Ship Set, the new ship cosmetics added in with this update, and it's from yet another non-rare Xbox property. In this case, State of Decay, which, I can't say I'm a big fan of the zombie genre, and State of Decay is probably never a game series I would check out, but it's a cool ship design.
Yeah, this one it's got a weird treatment because Rare's done this for other Microsoft properties. Halo, Gears of War, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Bleeding Edge. But what makes this one different than those is that all of those have been given away for free promotionally through like Twitch drops or whatever, Mixer, stuff like that. This one was sold in the Pirate Emporium. It's the only one that's been sold in the Pirate Emporium, which is usually reserved for, rare themed ship sets, like the Banjo-Kazooie Bear and Bird ship set, stuff like that. And on top of that, the Sea of Thieves merchandise store had a bunch of Sea of Thieves and State of Decay mashup like merchandise in it, which they didn't do for Gears of War or Halo or anything else. I found it to be an odd little partnership to happen, especially because most of those other ones came out to promote a new game release, like Gears 5, Ori 2, Bleeding Edge's release. And this one just kind of came out of nowhere because State of Decay 2 has been out for like 2 years. So it just kind of odd. But it's cool because it's got these wiggly zombie fingers.
Wiggly little zombie figures, yeah. They're on like the figurehead and the capstan is little fingers everywhere. They'll touch ya.
But what's interesting about this is that lore-wise, in the description of in the shipwright, when you go to buy this ship and have your ship decorated with it, there's a description, and it kind of implies that there's a valley somewhere that pirates have discovered, and they brought the story back with them to the Sea of Thieves, where there are a bunch of blighted. They refer to zombies in Sea of Thieves. They refer to them as blighted, because obviously the word zombie doesn't exist in their culture. But yeah, it implies the existence of a zombie outbreak somewhere in the world of Sea of Thieves, which you and I, as sane, healthy, mental human beings, we understand that the world of Sea of Thieves is also the world of Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong, and notably, Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
Yes, notably.
It's notable because of the zombie pirates that are in Grabbed by the Ghoulies.
I see where you're going with that, because I was thinking, well, Conquer also had zombies.
No, I'm saying they're specifically pirates, right? So
little squirrel zombies. Yeah, but the pirate zombies in Grabbed by the Ghoulies, obviously. The way the State of Decay, the Blighted Ship Set, the description talks about a valley beyond the Devil's Shroud. So it is within a Devil's Shroud at the moment, inaccessible, like so many other things, like Treasure Trove Cove that they allude to, but we cannot get to in-game. So, you know, this is just a neat little, like, a lot of these ship sets, they do kind of try to tantalize you with lore that will probably never be followed up on in the game, but it's still really cool. Like, the Bleeding Edge ship set brought up, like, this whole, like, mutinous faction of pirates who were rebelling against the Pirate Lord, and then, like, kind of retcons Bleeding Edge to be this group that then appropriated that imagery in the future. So it's always interesting to see how they take these Xbox properties that are not rare and kind of retrofit them to make sense for either the world of Rare or just Sea of Thieves itself.
Yeah, so I just think it's cool that we talked earlier about Captain Skeleton as a ghost ship that's still roaming the seas of the Rare shared universe, the Rare archipelago out in the sea there. And then now we also have kind of the origins of these zombie pirates from Ghoulies, because they also came from the Sea of Thieves, where there's a zombie island somewhere. And,
if you're listening to this and you're like, well, hold up there, Jeff and Hyle, you fucking dipshits. Dr. Crackpot invented the zombie pirates. And it's like, well, hold on there, you asshole. Elon Musk, shut up. Shut up. What if Dr. Crackpot reverse engineered his zombies from recovering the zombie pirates and taking that germ of a zombie outbreak, whatever it was, bacteria or some sort of parasite, and that's how he created his zombies? Shut up, Elon Musk. I'm smarter than you. Tesla.
Yeah.
I can make a car drive by itself. Just give me enough time. I'll do it.
It's not about that. It's anyone can make a car drive itself, but can you put that car into space?
I can do whatever I want to, Jeff. I'm amazing. Just give me enough time and money, and I'll figure it out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. If you're watching, if you're Jeff Bezos and you're Elon Musk, please just give Hyle money, and he'll put a car into space.
Give me money, and I'll do amazing things.
He'll do things. Yeah, he could reverse engineer zombies from other zombies, which doesn't sound hard, honestly.
It's not hard at all.
It's not hard. So what happened next, Hyle? What happened in the July update?
Well, the July update brought us Ashen Winds, Jeff. Ashen Winds. Which, I made this joke on stream so many times, but I kept confusing Ashen Winds with the Seals and Crofts song Summer Breeze. And right. I don't know why, because they don't even sound the same. But I think because this was like the midsummer update and it was called Ashen Winds, and I just somehow got that goddamn yacht rock song stuck in my head. And even now, I can't hear Ashen Winds without hearing the melody from Summer Breeze.
Yeah, it's just blowing through the jasmine in your mind and everything, so Ashen Winds was cool. I guess back to back from Haunted Shores to Ashen Winds, they're very similar in that they both added a new major world event, like a cloud in the sky. And so we used to have two, and then Haunted Shores added Flameheart's face as an option as a giant cloud thing to do. But now Ashen Winds has added a fiery tornado. So you are sailing around anywhere in the Sea of Thieves, and you see a fiery tornado off in the distance. Everybody can see that. They go there, and it's above an island. And as you get in close, you see, if you look through the spyglass, which is like a telescope. If you don't know the word spyglass, I
like how you stop, and you're like, let me tell you about the history of the spyglass.
See, they didn't used to call them telescopes. That was because they didn't tele. But nowadays they tell. Anyway, so yeah, you zoom in at the base of this fiery tornado, and you're going to see some skeletons around a pile of skulls, chanting and drumming and doing a ritual, which is spooky. I tell you what. And Yeah, as soon as you get in close, the skulls will like bust and a Ashen Lord will appear. So the Ashen Lords were teased all the way back in the Seabound Soul as well, and they're basically like skeleton lords, which are pirates who become skelefied by the skeleton curse. Sometimes they become boring idiot skeletons, but other times they become skeleton lords, which are really powerful skeletons that sometimes have kind of like strong powers. And
they're basically skelly bosses. I mean,
right. Yeah. So the Ashen Lords are even more powerful than skeleton lords, and these have been kind of augmented by Flameheart himself. Instead of a passive curse process like a werewolf transformation or whatever, instead he actively augmented them in a sort of Frankenstein to Frankenstein's monster kind of way. And there are 4 of them, and they are Flameheart's, basically his like they're his disciples, but they're like his most trusted, most powerful allies.
They're like the people who hang around Thanos and
those ones
Infinity
that
War.
might as well not have names.
It's like long face and scary lady and big dude and other big dude.
I forgot about Scary Lady. Yeah, that's the best-selling movie of all time. Anyway,
do you remember movies, Jeff?
Dude, I miss movies. Last time I went to a movie, it was like a drive-in, and I was puking everywhere. Anyway, yeah, Marty McFly invented rock and roll.
Yeah, well. So anyway, Cameron is yelling at us. He's not yelling because Cameron never yells except unless he's attacked in Sea of Thieves. That by the time Chuck Berry would hear anything on the phone, Marty would be on his guitar riff that doesn't sound anything like Johnny B. Good anyway. So chill out, people.
He also suggested that the zombie pirates in Ghoulies are a third faction unaffiliated with Crackpot, which is what I've always personally believed. I never believed that Crackpot created the zombie pirates. I believed he made the other zombies, but the zombie pirates, and especially because there was like an unused plan for how the zombie pirates were going to be implemented, where they like arrive by ship and like attack the house and like come from the sea, but that didn't happen in the game. But anyway, they're just hanging around having a feast, and they're gonna eat like a kid or whatever. They're cannibal zombie pirates. They eat people. I guess that's
most
what all
zombies are
zombies
portrayed as eating people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think Marty McFly invented the zombie pirates.
Yeah, he did. He went back in time, and then this guy's like on the phone with his cousin. His cousin is Dr. Crackpot. He's like, listen to this. Anyway, it's crazy. So there's 4 Ashen Lords.
Marvin Crackpot. Let's make it happen, people. Greg Mails, if you're listening to this with Jeff Bezos, please make Marvin Crackpot a thing.
You know when Banjo, because we went back in time to 1978, and they accidentally invented Summer Breeze. That came out before 78.
Wasn't Summer Breeze from the late 70s?
Was it? Let's find out. We actually have to Google it now.
We do.
Stand by, audience fans. Summer Breeze, Seals and Croft.
1972.
Oh, Banjo, you didn't go back far enough. We have to go back to the past more, less future than. That title's hard to parse, Back to the Future. Anyway.
Yeah.
There's 4 Ashen Lords, Hyle, and each one has their own little bit of lore attached, although in gameplay, they all operate the same. Which, this is what I like about this, is they come up with this idea that you go to this cloud and you fight a battle against basically a boss skeleton. And it could have just been one. It could have just been like, every time you see that cloud, somebody's trying to resurrect old Flameface, the bad guy. But instead, there's 4 of them, and you just get a random one each time you go, and that kind of adds a little excitement to it, especially as you've got these commendations for killing each different one a number of times, and so you're like, anyone but Warden Chi, and then it's Warden Chi. But yeah, they each have their own lore.
I love their design, too, because I I don't know if I'm just imagining this, but they seem to have more, like, Flameheart's forces in general seem to have more, like, Asiatic influences in the visual design. And I mean, that's going back to, like, Seabound Soul, and when we first started seeing, like, hints of Flameheart, but just everything incorporated, and it seems to have more of an Eastern flavor to it.
I forgot about the Ashen Dragon, which was ally of Flameheart, or one of the so. And that's I definitely very Asiatic,
Yeah, I definitely see some, like, Chinese design in some of these Ashen Lords. But it's like the Fire Nation from off of Avatar, not the James Cameron Avatar.
Something deadly has come from China, and it is spreading, and it's just like, we have to do something about it. It's going to ruin our whole summer.
Actually, this made our summer better, so thank you, China.
Yeah, thank you for Flameheart. So you have Captain Grimm. He's one of
Captain Grimm.
He's one of the Ashen Lords, and his bit of lore is that this is the guy that built the skeleton forts. I love that bit of lore. I love it because we've never known why there were skeleton forts before, but it turns out they're just kind of holdovers from when Flameheart had conquered the Sea of Thieves in the past before he disappeared. And then the other skeletons that are still around have just been using these abandoned forts. But they were built by Flameheart's forces, by Captain Grimm.
Yeah. I love how everything in Sea of Thieves... I mean, Rare's always been good about this, right? Like, always... Even when they don't spell things out, they just leave a little bit of context to explain why things exist, and then that really gets the mind spinning faster. Like, oh, okay, so if that's the case, then this must have been what happened several hundred years ago. And like, all the way back to Donkey Kong Country, when we noticed, hey, all the temples on Donkey Kong Island have Kremlin architecture. What does that signify? And Sea of Thieves, on account of it being a living game that gets updates every month, and they just get to flesh it out more and more and more. We have all of, like, this interconnected labyrinth of factions and affiliations, and it turns out the Skelly Force that have nothing to do with Flameheart now were actually put there by Captain Grimm in service to Flameheart. So it's great.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love that. Then you have Red Ruth.
Red Ruth, right. Red Ruth, she is the alchemist who created the cursed cannonballs that first showed up in... Help me out, Jeff. Help me out.
Cursed Sails.
Cursed Sails again. All right. I just like the Devil's Sails, the Devil's Balls. I don't know what it was called. The cursed cannonballs.
It's the Devil's Blazeball.
The Devil's Blazeball. Right, that will be around year 12 of Sea of Thieves, when they've run out of things to combine Devil with. Wanda, the weaponsmith, who turned into... Was it Warsmith? Is her chosen name?
Yeah, Warsmith.
But she became a Skelly, and she was the whole instigator of the Cursed Sails event. But she actually reintroduced the cursed cannonballs because she found them. She found the wreckage of the Burning Blade and recovered them and brought them back to the Sea of Thieves. But it was Red Ruth who was the originator of them back when Flameheart ran the show.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I just like that, like, better context. The idea that, like, Wanda didn't invent the cursed cannonballs, she just reverse engineered them, because then it also opens up the possibility of, like, Flameheart's crews could use cursed cannonballs if they wanted to. Whereas before, it kind of felt like, no, they're a brand new invention. They didn't exist back then. But now we know that they always have, which is cool.
It's sort of like how in Athena's Fortune, the novel, like, we learned that so much of what we take for granted in Sea of Thieves was, designed by Shan as part of Ramsey's crew. Like, all the weird stuff, like even shooting yourself out of a cannon, was because those cannons are engineered from the enchanted metal that housed the the corpse of a kraken called Old Mother. Just like I said, it just keeps going. The deeper and deeper you get into the game, the more like everything has a backstory.
Yeah, Chris Alcock actually said that Sea of Thieves has the most lore of any Rare game, and that dude worked on Cameo, so you know he's telling the truth. If he says Sea of Thieves is a deeper lore than Cameo, that's a lot of fucking lore. So then,
but then he also said the Reaper was an invention of Crackpot, and that's where Jeff and I will ally against him.
Every so often, Chris Alcock is an idiot, and he's allowed.
Every so often, he's all cock, and it's just like, you're wrong on this, sir. I will fight you.
We've all been wrong before. So, old Horatio is the next of the list, and he is old. That's lore about him. Oh, no. He is the shipwright and who like builds the ships for Flameheart's armies and also press gangs the crews. So he's kind of like a, what do they call that? Like a quartermaster? Is that, I guess this is different than being the quartermaster, but he kind of is, he's like the second in command on the ships, you know, with the press gang the crews and everything.
I think quartermaster duties are split between Red Ruth and Old Horatio, but yeah, Old Horatio is I guess what gave us like the skeleton ships that Wanda then brought back too. So
yeah, then you have Warden Chi.
Warden motherfucking Chi, because Warden Chi is the one I and Cameron have fought the most. And Jeff, you play a lot more outside of, you know, our Sunday voyages, so you've encountered all of them many times over. But I feel that like it's always Warden Chi. It's always Warden Chi when I chase a red tornado and come to the island. It's fucking Warden Chi, who I really love. Like, I love Warden. I think Warden Chi is my favorite design of the four, and she's Flameheart's prison warden. But yeah, it's always Chi.
That's my favorite, probably, of the four in terms of lore. It's the warden of Flameheart's prison, where he keeps people that, I guess they're too important for him to kill, or he wants to torture them, or whatever. Like, because we never knew that Flameheart had a prison. But that's like the coolest shit I've ever heard in my life. This dude has a prison, presumably built by Captain Grimm, and the Warden Chi is the warden of the prison. That's so awesome that I want to go there. I want to go there in a tall tale.
That's the thing. Yeah, I was going to suggest, could we ever visit this prison? Will it be the basis of a tall tale? Do we get to like have a prison break?
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Like Duke or something just gets like taken by Flameheart, and then Pendragon comes and asks us for help. He's like, we gotta go and break Duke out of prison. That'd be amazing.
Real quick on Warden Chi's design, it looks like she's got tree branches, one like sticking out of her, like right above her left eye, and then her right eye, it's like impaling it, like burning tree branches. I'm not sure what they're supposed to be, but it makes it look like she has antlers. And I'm fond of anything with antlers, Jeff.
Yeah, it's a very kind of like a samurai almost type design. Yeah. And so these four characters, the Ashen Lords, are actually a solid go-to example when I want to show a friend of mine who doesn't know anything about Sea of Thieves how cool like the designs can be. Like if I have an art friend and they're sharing art of games and stuff, I'm like, hey, you like art? Look at these characters in Sea of Thieves. They're so fucking cool. They knocked the designs out of the park on those. Not that they've been bad in the past. I like all the Skeleton Lords. The Gold Hoarder Skeleton Lord is my favorite design in Sea of Thieves. And I want them in every game. But yeah, I think that these ones really step it up in terms of they get the theme of being ashen and fire themed. They get that across really well while being really cool and intimidating, and all four of them being very unique even though it could have been easy for them to come off being very samey, because they all have the same purpose. But instead, they all have a striking, unique design, and that's awesome. But we haven't talked about what they do when you fight them.
No, we have not, and they cause hellfire to rain down on you.
Yeah, they're cool because they're different from the other skeleton lords in the game, where they all play basically the same. These ones have all new attacks. They fight entirely with melee and throwables. They don't have swords or guns, but they smack you with they have a big, like, cursed molten arm, one of their two arms, and that arm they'll whack you, they'll dash towards you, and they'll throw fire bombs at you, and they'll throw little flaming rocks from the sky and stuff. But then they'll take that molten arm, dig it into the earth, and a cloud of lava rocks will appear in the sky that just rains down. And then while that's happening, geysers appear out of the ground. So it's basically like taking all these special effects from the volcanic region of the Sea of Thieves, the Devil's Roar, and making it so that these Ashen Lords can manifest those attributes on any island. So you can be on a peaceful, beachy, Pirates of the Caribbean looking island, and all of a sudden you can have geysers and lava rocks falling from the sky and boiling hot water surrounding the island and stuff like that. That is really cool. Especially the first time you see that, it's so jarring to see these volcanic effects in this other biome that's not like the volcanic island.
I really feel bad for anybody who has to go to one of these islands in the midst of an Ashen Lord attack. Like, say they have to deliver cargo to someone, and then they go there, and it just all hell has literally broken loose, and
they can even sink your ship. Like those lava rocks that come from the sky can hit your ship, which normally, when you're fighting a skeleton on land, they attack you on land, but they won't attack your ship.
Because this is another way that the new emergent threats differ from the old skeleton forts or skelly ship battles, in that they're actually on islands, which are normally benign to this sort of thing. So if you have business at one of these islands, like unrelated business from wanting to participate in this world event, well, guess what? You might have to, sail through a ghost ship battle, or you might have to avoid the Ashen Lord causing a ruckus. So
I love that too. It makes it less likely that you're just going to ignore it, because it's its own island that you just can choose to never go to, like a skeleton fort. Instead, it's like, oh, our voyage is at Cannon Cove, and there's a Ashen Lord there. Should we just take out the Ashen Lord and get all that treasure? All right, sweet. That just kind of adds more to that changing up and rolling with the punches of emergent encounters and emergent opportunities. And
then, of course, if you do have unrelated business to the island, well, then not only are you going to the island, not only do you have this new threat, but then everybody else on the server might be coming to the island too to participate. So all of a sudden you might have another crew, 2 other crews, 3 other crews that you have to contend with. So it does become it can become a bottleneck, stressful situation. So it definitely has altered gameplay in that regard.
Yeah. So I just really like that back-to-back months, June and July, added in a new world event, and now we have 2 land-based world events, and we have 2 sea-based ship-to-ship naval combat world events. And they're great. On top of that, both of them also have a cool reward for beating them. In addition to your normal rewards, like all this treasure you get, both of these world events, the Flameheart Ghost Ship Battle and the Ashen Lord fight, have a kind of super weapon. They've added in these like super weapon type things, but the only way to get them is to do this world event. And so in the case of the Flameheart Ghost Ship Battle, you can get Wraith Bombs. You can get all of the ghostly phantom cannonballs and Wraith Balls that the ghost ships fire at you. You can get them in a crate of supplies after you defeat the Burning Blade. And so then you can go around the sea fighting other threats or other players and then use Wraith Bombs against them, which is just awesome.
The Wraith Balls, which basically like giant ghostly faces contained within a cannonball. So kind of like a cursed cannonball, but with a ghost you're shooting out. They're in limited supply. I think you only get 3 in a crate.
You get a random amount up to like 5 or 6, but it's it's usually less because it's random.
But even if you aren't the type to use them on another crew, if another crew has been attracted to the event and they are like there to like rob you after the fact, it suddenly becomes this race to grab that crate because they can use it to fuck you up, or you can use it to get rid of them. Just this last week, we had an encounter at a Flameheart battle where we had to use the Wraith Balls to get rid of this crew that was chasing us.
Yeah.
And it worked.
And it's great.
It worked. They gave up after that, so...
Yeah, hitting anyone with like a Wraith Ball is just so satisfying because it's so much more devastating than any other cannonball, but it's also just a really exciting visually and sound-wise. You sent a giant screaming ghost at them, and then it knocked their ship off course. Like, it's just so exciting. But then with the Ashen Winds, they have their own kind of super weapon that you can only get by completing the Ashen Winds encounter, and that is the Ashen Winds Skull, which is a portable handheld flamethrower. You can use it to do cast 8 feet or something of flames out of it. Like, you're holding the skull in your hands and you open its mouth and it just breathes fire. It's the coolest little, it's very satisfying. There's commendations for using it to burn skeletons, and there's commendations for burning other ships, including, skeleton ships if you wanted to do that, or player ships. But you get this fun feedback loop of you do an Ashen Winds battle, you get the skull, then you go do another Ashen Winds battle, except in this one, you have a flamethrower, and you can use it on the hordes of skeletons while you're fighting them. So you use their own weapon against them, and it has a limited charge. As it uses up the charge, it decreases the value, the resale value on the skull. So you kind of have a dilemma of do I sell it or do I use up the flame charge and then sell it for less? Which is a fun kind of dynamic to it.
Yeah, I know when I'm shopping for flamethrower skulls on Craigslist, I always avoid the ones that are gently used.
I always get them right off of Amazon because of Amazon Prime 2-day delivery. It's just too convenient to pass up.
It's true.
Jeff Bezos is a murderer.
He is, and he usually murders people with flamethrowers. So this is not us speaking out of line.
Anyway, we got to be careful. We're going to get flamethrowered by Jeff Bezos. So
yeah, we know. No, I just want to say that as far as I know, Jeff Bezos has never murdered any person with a flamethrower. Businesses, on the other hand, that he's murdered.
As far as as far as you know, gravity might not be real. It's a theory, but it's real. Come on, you know what he does. Anyway, so yeah, then this Ashen Winds stuff kind of went on for a while because in August they did push out an update to the game. It was mostly bug fixes, but it was not a monthly update event thing where they had a title for it and new items to buy in the shops and new gameplay. It had none of that because of the realities of working from home during COVID, the pandemic and everything. So they kind of had to delay some of their update plans into September. Yeah. So in August, in light of that, or in place of having a real update, Ashen Winds continued, and they did a number of online, they call them live events that are basically just challenges that appear on the website. They don't appear in the game, but you can do these challenges and earn rewards in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, these are always a mixed bag because having them just be on the website and not even be listed in game makes them feel more ephemeral, kind of like they're not real, but then they can unlock things in a game like cosmetics or even titles, which are real. You can really sink your teeth into them, which, you know, I enjoy because I like being bit, but I don't. These are a mixed bag. Like I said, they're your idea where you wish like they were at least communicated in the tavern on a bulletin board or something. I really like. I still think that's the route they should go with these. But it does create this huge checklist. Well, we had the Rare's 35th anniversary mini event where it was kind of like go around and find all of these rare Easter eggs that aren't like ship cosmetics, and we're like put in a game very early on as are like the first nods to the greater shared rare universe.
Yeah,
and you could do like there were only like 5 of those, and you get this special figurehead with I think the number 35 in Roman numerals on it to signify Rare's 35th. And that was just a small little thing that they threw in to, you know, give a tip of the hat to the anniversary, because, you know, Rare's 30th anniversary coincided with Rare Replay, which was 5 years ago. You know, it's crazy that it was that long ago at this point.
And every time that time passes 5 times, when you're in intervals of 5, that is important.
That is somehow important. That is more important.
The number ends in either a 5 or a 0, and that is an important thing.
Rare's 34th anniversary meant nothing.
Yeah, that wasn't shit. That wasn't shit. No, you know what? Shut up with the number 34. Nobody cares. Get out of here. Get out. But 35, that number is important. So
yes.
yeah, and, you know, obviously they did some others. They did a lot of little things for the anniversary. There's sales on their merchandise, sales on rare themed ship sets in Sea of Thieves. They released a cool music album and some other stuff, but you know, this episode isn't about that. But the little Easter egg event, that was fun. It was, you had to find the cave paintings of the Baron Bird, the, Battletoads, and the Viva Pinata animals. And what was cool is that before those had been Easter eggs, like little cave paintings in the game that you could see, but in order to make this event happen where you would get credit for discovering them, they had to turn them into like an interactable thing. So when you go up to that cave painting, you can press X to read it, and there's a little description, and it tells you like, you know, the Battletoads reference is actually not really a Battletoads reference. It's a reference to a crew that had some kind of skin affliction that called themselves the Fightin' Frogs. So it's an homage more than a direct like lore reference. But yeah, and then there was also the Black Witch ship wreckage from the Commodore 64 game Black Witch, and then the achievement Perfectly Dark, which was to sail through the storm at night with your lights off.
I feel bad for Perfect Dark fans that is the Perfect Dark reference. It's
yeah, it's nothing to do with Perfect Dark. Yeah, it's not like they could have put the logo on a cave painting somewhere. And then obviously there's no Conquer one, but they've gotten plenty of references in the ship sets, and those are awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll give them that much.
But the big one in the month of August, actually to the end of September, was the Summer of Sea of Thieves event. And this was massive, a massive checklist of things, various feats and accomplishments to pull off. Some very easy and basic, some incredibly challenging and frustrated and time intensive. But you had something like a month and a half to do them. So it was generous. They gave you generous time if you wanted to get them done. You didn't have to get all of them done to get all the cosmetics attached to them. And some of them were repurposed cosmetics from the Competition of Courage. Was that what it was called?
You got it. It was the Devil's Competition of Devil Courage.
It was an arena competition they did several months back. They recycled the figurehead and the boots, I think, from this.
And the cutlass.
From that to this. Yeah, and the cutlass. But then they added a new items.
A bucket and a lantern.
Them.
And then also some emotes. Yeah, so what I liked about this was, like you said, generous on the time, which sometimes can be annoying when they are like, well, here's a challenge and you have a week to get it done, or else you never get these cosmetics again. But this was like, no, you've got like 7 weeks or 6 weeks or something, so you should be able to get it done. And yeah, it was like 11 categories of challenges, each with 4 challenges, and every 3 challenges you completed, you'd earn one of the cosmetics. And so
I think it was 12. I think wasn't it 12?
There were 12 cosmetics, I guess.
No, it was like 12 challenges. 12 challenges.
No, there was 11 categories, 4 in each, making 44 total. But if you only did like 36, or then you would unlock all the cosmetics. However, each of the 11 categories also unlocked a title if you did everything in that category. And where I drew fault with it, where I kind of dropped off of it, was that every one of the 11 categories had at least one challenge that had to be done in the arena.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get a single one of those 11 titles because I'm not into the arena ever since they changed it. They made it significantly less fun for me when they made it, there's only one chest at a time. We talked about this last episode, when they updated. And for context, I'm level 50 in Sea Dogs. I've won over 200 matches in the arena. I liked the arena. They, in my opinion, really not ruined it, but really took a lot of the fun out of it for me when they made some changes to it. And so I just didn't play it with these challenges. I didn't play the arena at all through this event, and I didn't get any of the titles. And I was okay with that because they're just titles. They're just like a tagline you can put under your player name in game. I was never going to use any of the titles anyway, so it was fine. One of them is good, though. One of the titles was called Pirate Dandy.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah, I think Mitchell is using Pirate Dandy at the moment. I had I was like, we're gonna see how close I get. I'm gonna try not to get too obsessed over this because I'm somebody who has to, when time limited commendations, they haven't really been a thing in the game for a while. But when they were having all these time limited commendations, I was like, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, and I did them. But for this, I was like, this is a little bit, outside of the game. Yes, the titles are in the game, but, there are some titles that I haven't gotten, like the overachiever ones for early on, and I can live without this. But the problem, Jeff, is that they numbered the titles. So they put a Roman numeral. So if you would unlock one, then all of a sudden you had this thing in your title list with a random Roman numeral, and then it would always be there, and you would be like, I don't have the other ones, and it would haunt you, and it would eventually drive you to the drink and ruin your relationships, send you to the poorhouse, and eventually you just die. Your liver gives out, or you drink bleach. And
that is what Jeff Bezos told the reporters. He drank himself. It's so sad. Anyway, yeah. So for me, I didn't do any of the arena ones, so I didn't get any of the titles, and so that little Roman numeral didn't bother me because I had 0 of the 11 titles. But what was nice in terms of the generous nature of the challenge was that you only needed to complete 36 out of 44 to get all the cosmetics, not the titles, but the cosmetic items. And as you said, a number of those cosmetic items, out of the 12 or so that there were repeats of things that I have already unlocked. So I didn't need to even do 36 challenges, like, to get everything. I think I only needed to do, like, 27 or whatever. So I unlocked everything I wanted to unlock. The only thing I didn't unlock was titles.
Yeah, so Cameron and I, of course, got obsessed with this. And by the time like it was getting towards the end of the month, and the weekend before the end of the month, we decided to do a server takeover, which is where we try to get 2 galleons on one server, but you get 8 people. You server hop. You all wind up on the Ferry of the Damned, and you see if anybody is on the ferry together, and then those 2 people are on the same server, and then they invite everyone else into their crew. So you have 2 galleons of 4 people. So I got a bunch of our associates and well-wishers together who play Sea of Thieves, and we streamed this. We did a live stream of this on our Twitch channel, dkvine.com/Twitch. And I was like, this is going to take hours. And I didn't invite you, Jeff, because you had no interest in finishing this or doing all of the Summer of Sea of Thieves events. And I respected that.
I've had to take a hard stance that I'm not going to tear my hair out on a Sunday trying to grind for a time-limited thing that's ultimately not going to change my life. It's just for my own mental health. I had to stop with the FOMO, the fear of missing out, and just be like, no, I'm not going to spend 6 hours just server hopping, hoping to, then spend 6 more hours playing the game to grind out a challenge. So yeah, you guys were doing that, but you did end up pulling it off and inviting me later.
Well, we pulled it off very quickly. We pulled it off within, I think, 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. But the thing is, we didn't just pull it off. We got 3 people on the same server, which meant we had 3 galleons on one server. So we ended up, like, we invited you. I texted you. I was like, hey, Jeff, we got 3 galleons on one server. Do you want to join us? And you did. And so we eventually got 15 people all on 12 people. I can't do math. Math is hard. Look, I can't do math, but I can put a person in space. I'll figure it out. But we got 12 people on one server, and did a bunch of the higher end stuff, like sell a emissary grade 5 flag to the Reaper's Bones, stuff that would be very hard to pull off. It would just be down to luck and circumstance. And so we made our own luck, right? And so then
I really love whenever we do these server takeovers. I don't love server hopping to make it happen, but when it's done, it's fun when everyone decks out the ships. And we have like a team, so like we put the Conquer aesthetic on one ship and the Banjo aesthetic on one ship, and I think this time we did Battletoads also. And so then you're like, we're all on one big voice call, but you've got Team Conquer, Team Banjo, Team Battletoads.
Right.
It's just fun.
It's great fun too, because then you're in an alliance together, so it's essentially the DK Vine Armada. And woe be anybody on that server who wasn't us, because I mean we're not antagonistic, so it's not like we're setting out to ruin anybody. That's not how I play. That's not how I encourage others to play. But if somebody did try to cross us, they wouldn't have gotten very far. So it does create this like sense of, we're invulnerable. We can basically check off this wish list of stuff we want to do in game that's always a little bit beyond us. And like, so we got like just weird stuff like the rag and bone crates done, like the commendations for that event, which was kind of a wet fart of an event. But I enjoyed it at the time, and then I was just like, yeah, nobody's really doing this. This is kind of...
That was an event that fell flat because the theory behind it didn't hold true in practice. I think they basically were like, oh, we're going to have this thing where everyone is going to go to Shipwreck Bay and dig up these crates, and then we're going to have commendations for stealing them from each other. And then it wasn't very fun, so nobody did it. And when nobody's doing it, it means that there's no crates around to steal. And so you couldn't complete these commendations because you couldn't steal any crates because nobody was doing it. There was no crates around. And so we went like about a year without with those little commendations in our menu unchecked off, uncompleted. And but when we got an alliance together, took over multiple ships, we could go and do it because we could just steal from each other.
Yes. I like how we're pirates who like con these organizations into thinking we're better pirates than we are. It's like, yeah, well, we stole this crate from that crew. We hate that crew. Wink, wink.
And we're sailing alliance flags. We're like in a group together. Yeah.
Yeah. We're all obsessed with these prophetic anthropomorphic animal characters. But yeah, that was great fun. And then that only left a few arena tasks to do. And so at that point, I was so close. Cameron was so close. So we met up like the night before in arena along with you showed up on our voice call on our party chat just to see how it was going. But Dre was there. I think Briegel joined us. Gibbon maybe was there. I can't remember. There's just so many people playing Sea of Thieves with me across like a couple of days. But the hardest one for me, aside from the firing yourself out of a cannon and landing on another deck of a ship, because that one is hard to pull off unless you have, a willing partner. I actually did it at E3 2016 when I was playing the show floor build. I fired myself out of a cannon and landed on another deck ship, and that really impressed the rare folk who are monitoring the
E3 2017.
20
because right before E3 2017 is when they added being able to shoot yourself out of cannons, because it wasn't in the first early builds.
You're right.
And,
you're right.
I remember
it was E3.
I didn't get to go to that E3, and I was in the technical alpha, and you and I think Cameron, and definitely Chad were. I don't know if Cameron was, but you were at E3, and so I didn't have anyone to play Sea of Thieves with because you weren't around. And so
no, that you're right. It was E3 2017. The year it was me and Cameron.
Yeah, so you and Cameron went. I had no one to play with, so I played with randoms. Because back then the technical alpha would only open for like a few hours a day for a couple days over a weekend. And so I joined in and I played during E3 2017. I played and I did manage to shoot out of a cannon and land on a deck. Nice, but I've done it. Nice. I've done it only a couple times since then in the arena. But yeah, it was just exciting to do it on that very first day back in when they added it in the feature.
But I finally did it in arena. It was just by like pure luck because it had to be just right. It's very touchy. So if you like hit a mast or only get there on a technicality, it doesn't count it. It has to be kind of a perfect dismount. And then the hardest one for me though, the one that really gave me the vapors was racking up kills. You had to get something like 20 kills in arena. And I'm not a PvP player. I'm not somebody who engages in just wanton fisticuffs for the hell of it. I am somebody who's evasive. And so for me, I had to get over that fear and that inability to engage other players. And I had to get better at fighting people. And eventually it was like late at night. It was I think it was after midnight. But we got it. Cameron got all of them before I did, and then I got all of them, and I got the Legend of the Sun title, which was the one that didn't have any relation to the kills. I think that was maybe it did, but it was definitely the firing yourself out of the cannon. That was part of that set of 4. And you got the title Legend of the Sun, which is the only one that doesn't have a Roman numeral. Instead, it has the kind of blue glowing legendary commendation kind of signifier.
Right. And the reason that didn't have a Roman numeral is because that category was only doable by pirate legends. And you wouldn't even be able to do it if you were not a pirate legend. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've had the title Brave Vanguard in the game, which is what you got if you're part of the technical alpha. I've had that title since the game launched because I was like, I like this title. It suits my pirate. It suits the way my pirate is a pirate and the way I play the game. So I probably will never change it. But then Legend of the Sun was the first title in over 2 years that's come along that's like, you know what? I really like that title. I want to use that title. So I've switched it to Legend of the Sun. So I'm glad I did it. I have no regrets. I reached some dark places that night, fearing that I wasn't going to get it done. But then I did it. And
I'll say they gave ample time to do it. And so it wasn't really I think that with the generousness of some of the challenges, it wasn't like a bad event in terms of overly relying on FOMO, which sometimes they've had that in the past where you think like, sometimes the game can be a little bit reliant on the fear of missing out and pushing you to have negative feelings. They haven't been that way in a while, and this didn't overly go that way either. I just, for myself, I just wasn't... I basically choose not to play the game for any reason other than I like it and want to have fun. And as soon as I start realizing that I'm playing the game because I feel some mental pressure in my head that I have to get something done, then I'm like, no, I gotta step away and not play that way because it's not fun.
No, I respect that. I respect that. For me, being a Weasley little completionist is fun, and you're right. They gave us generous time with this one, and I did have a lot of fun with this. There are some events they've done where I've just been demoralized and discouraged. There was a lot of breathing room, and the only reason I didn't get it done was, quite honestly, it was like putting off your homework until like the last couple days before it was due. That's on me, and I fully accept that. But overall, it was a lot of like just like good-natured challenges, and it was fun to have kind of objectives outside of your normal comfort level because they do make you play the game better. And I feel more confident in combat now. And so I'm not like always suggesting running away. I will still suggest running away at times, but I feel like maybe I have a shot now at taking some, less than skilled players. So, I'm glad I went through those trials.
Yeah, and in the middle of the Summer of Sea of Thieves event, there was another event that went on. It was much shorter, and then it like came and went, and then kind of easy to forget about. But in terms of the format of it, I liked it way better. I think it's one of the better formatted events they've done. And this was called the Hunters of the Deep. The Hunters of the Deep event was formatted around you had to earn shark teeth. But shark teeth are just like a nebulous, stand-in for like points. You had to earn 100 points in the 2 weeks or whatever, or I think it might have been 3 weeks. I don't know, but you had to earn 100 points to unlock cosmetics. Every 25 points you earned, you unlocked one of the 4 cosmetics, and it wasn't like a specific list of challenges that like you have to do all of these to get the points. There was a list of a handful, I think maybe, I don't know. There was a handful of challenges that you could do, and they would earn you like 5 points each or whatever. And then after that, it was just like killing megalodons would earn you points. And megalodons appear all the time, and they're, so they're a never-ending resource. So if one of those challenges was too hard to do, you didn't have to do it because you could just kill an extra megalodon, just kill more megalodons. And so it's not like, well, here's a checklist of 5 things you have to do. It was more like, here are ways you can earn points, and then you can get to 100 points however you want. And that I liked way better than some of the past events. And it was fun because it was just like for a short amount of time, we actually really were excited to be attacked by a megalodon. And would stop what we were doing and fight it.
Even if, because the tradition, whenever a megalodon appears, somebody calls out, what color is it? And then we decide what we're going to do based on how scarce it is. Because, if it is a rarer appearing megalodon, then that's great for commendations and whatnot. And of course, the Shrouded Ghost, the rarest megalodon in the game, that's what we're all hoping to encounter. But, in this case, it was just like, no, let's do it because it's going to give us points. It's going to give us shark teeth. And then you got the cosmetics, the ship cosmetics for the Shrouded Ghost ship set. And that was going to be added to the Emporium anyway, but in this way, you would get a discount. You would get pieces of it at a discount. And then...
Right. Yeah, so they added this ship to the Emporium for money. But before they did that, they had this event that are like, well, you can earn 4 of the pieces for free. And then if you missed out on any of that, you could just buy them in the future at any time. I like that format to time-limited stuff where the stuff doesn't ever go away.
Yeah.
If you miss the event. You could still buy it if you wanted to. And they even put in a little bundle that was like, well, if you earned the 4 free ones, here's a bundle just to get the parts you're missing for a little discounted price. And that was kind of cool. It's
definitely, you can tell they've learned a lot about gamer psychology and the psychology of people who play their game in the 2+ years since it's launched, because there was a time when they would have these super time limited cosmetics, and you still might encounter that, but things have a habit of rolling back around now if you miss them, or they're going to wind up in the Emporium anyway, so you don't really have to stress it that much, because if you really feel bad about missing it, you can just use real world money. But then it's never anything you have to buy, so it's just really down to your preference.
I will point out, I have bought a number of things from the Emporium, and I've never spent real money, because there's a very rare chance when you're playing the game of encountering the Ancient Skeleton, which is like it's just a skeleton that appears out of nowhere with the coin sound effects and a little jingle song, and it's carrying a big old sack of coins, and it just immediately starts running and fleeing from you. And if you hunt it down and kill it, you get some of the game's Emporium currency for free. So I think I've killed maybe 4 or 5 of those. I don't remember, but yeah. Then you just get some currency for free, and you can use it to buy stuff from the Emporium. That's kind of that. You can't rely on that because of the random chance of it. But it's a nice little option. Gives you the way to you won't necessarily be locked out of owning a pet forever if you want to have a pet. Because there's a good chance you'll eventually be able to get enough coins.
You just have to play enough and rack those encounters up, and you'll eventually build up enough to buy what you want.
Yeah, it's great. So, last thing with August.
There was another ship set added in August, but it wasn't through Sea of Thieves. I mean, obviously the ship set is in Sea of Thieves, but the only way to get it was to play another rare-related game, and that was the new Battletoads. Battletoads, parentheses, 2020. And so, basically, you just had to play Battletoads and beat Act 1, and you would get the ship set and a title too.
Yeah, and so if you haven't done that yet, you can do that easy. Battletoads is pretty cheap, but it's also on Game Pass. So if you happen to own Game Pass, you can play Battletoads for free, and then to beat Act 1 and the easiest difficulty only takes 40 minutes, maybe an hour. It's probably not even.
About an hour, yeah. Unfortunately, so I did this. I got a review copy of Battletoads, which is what I downloaded to my Xbox, and had beaten Act 1 before they announced this, I think. So that was the problem, because it didn't unlock in Sea of Thieves. So I did not have the cosmetics, and I had to replay Act 1. And then I still didn't have the cosmetics. So I was like, do I have to uninstall Battletoads and reinstall it? But then a couple days later, it just showed up in Sea of Thieves. So I don't know. I don't know what happened, but that's Stop and Swap. We finally got Stop and Swap.
Yeah, the idea of playing
all these years.
The idea of playing one rare game to unlock something in another rare game. I mean, that's Stop and Swap. That's the dream. So that's pretty sweet. And also, the ship set itself is awesome. And for probably a month, we just used it all the time. Like, everyone I sailed with wanted to use it because it's so cool looking. So it's got like fists. There's like fists in the spokes of the steering wheel, and like the spokes of the capstan are fists, and the cannons are fists. But then there's like frogs all over everything. Because it's not called Battletoads ship set. It's called the Fightin' Frogs ship set. So it's kind of a riff.
Yeah, referring to the crew with the skin condition.
Yeah.
If you didn't think that the wiggly little tickly fingers of the State of Decay ship set were enough for you, you get the whole fist here. Just right up.
And the eyes glow in the dark, which is cool. On the figurehead, there's like 3 frogs, and they're so froggy. Anyway, play Battletoads.
They're frogs, and the Battletoads are toads. So,
but yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it's a riff off of Battletoads. It's not specifically the Battletoads, but it's still cool.
It's like when there was a monkey in Banjo-Kazooie, but his name was Chimpy. What?
They should have been the cattle. What is it? What was the joke they made in the game Battletoads? Battle bees? Anyway, never mind. Go play Battletoads. That's a good game.
It is a good game. We'll talk about it more on the Kongversation at some point. But that brings us to the most recent update, which was Vaults of the Ancients.
That's right.
It's always of the something or the blank something.
Devils of the Shrouded Devils.
Vaults of the Devils Roar Cursed.
the Devil's
Ashen.
Shroud Curse. So this one kind of carries on from the Haunted Shores one, which added in a new type of Order of Souls Voyage. For the first time since the game launched, there was a new way to progress your Order of Souls. Now this one added a new type of Gold Hoarder Voyage. Again, for the first time since launch. This is
not only does it add a new Gold Hoarder Voyage, but this is kind of a break from the Flameheart saga, in that this is the first update we've had in a while that isn't part of the Flameheart is building his forces. Ooh, we're scared. It has nothing to do with that arc. Well, it does. It does and it doesn't. I guess
it's like the reaction to it. This is a glimpse at how other people are reacting to what's going on.
It's reactionary, but it also, in some ways, serves as a little bit of an epilogue to the Shores of Gold.
Or potentially a prologue to what comes next. But we don't know.
Anything could be anything. I don't know.
It's Blazeball, baby. That's just Blazeball. So anyway, the Gold Hoarder company, which is a company of treasure seekers that work for the Gold Hoarder person. So that's confusing.
Whose name is Rathbone.
Well, his name is Gold Hoarder. Now.
Well,
I'm sure he doesn't even remember the name Rathbone. That dude's just crazy. I bet, you know what? Listen, I don't care if we get sued. The Gold Hoarder kills people. That dude, there's no way someone that rich doesn't just kill people. Of
course. I mean, all rich people get rich so they can kill people and then not go to jail for it.
So the Gold Hoarder,
quote me on that.
Yeah, write it down, Chris. So the Gold Hoarder, obviously, spoiler territory, was defeated by pirates. And
I like how just meaningless you make it sound. He was defeated.
He got defeated. So he found himself wound up defeated one day, and in response, the Gold Hoarders stopped putting all them treasure in tribute peak in the Shores of Gold because the gold hoarder's not there. And so they've been just like stashing it in the vaults of the ancients. That's the title of the update. Which the vaults of the ancients are those kind of puzzle vaults that we discovered when doing the Shores of Gold Tall Tales. And so the Gold Hoarder company have used those vaults to store treasure. But the problem is with all this Flameheart stuff going on, they're like nervous and stuff. So they basically will pay you to go find the key to their vault just to make sure it's still there. They're like, hey, you're a pirate. I can trust you. Go find the key to my vault so that I know it's still there and it didn't get stolen. And you can do that. And then you bring the key back to them and you'll get paid, sum of money. But you wouldn't do that because you're a pirate. So you can actually just steal the key now that you have it and open the vaults. And once you open the vault, it's like a timed race to get treasure out of the room before it closes forever. And it's super fun.
It is. It is super fun, and it's fun to do it with a big crew because then, you're like, you got one person up in the rafters dropping chests, and then everybody's trying to ferry them out into the corridor outside the Indiana Jones door that drops. And then you've also got these big gold piles just scattered about that you can just pick up if you just have to hold down the button and let the radio fill up all the way, and then your pirate and the whole crew then has effectively picked it up, and you just pocket it right in there. It's not even something you have to sell. It's less gold than you would get inside the chest, but it becomes this thing where you save that for last. We have time management. We only have so much time because once the door shuts, any pirates trapped inside the vaults of the ancients will then be drowned. It fills with water and you die.
Yeah. So there's that, and then there's also, while you're in there, a puzzle to solve. Although it's not really a puzzle. These vaults used to be used for puzzles, where they've got these big columns of giant blocks that you can rotate, and each face of the block has a different symbol. And if you get all the right symbols on all 4 blocks and then hit the submit button on the panel in the middle of the room on this ancient tablet, it will then, if you entered the right code, open up a secret door that houses a single treasure item, which during the Tall Tales was usually a part of the Shroud Breaker. But in this case, it is a very valuable chest called the Tribute to the Ancients or something like that. Ancient Tribute Chest is what it's called. And but there's not really a puzzle to solve so much as finding medallions scattered around the room and then putting them into the tablet will reveal the solution one block at a time. So the puzzle isn't really a puzzle. Yeah. It's more just a challenge of finding the medallions. So then you've got all this stuff going on. Somebody help me find the medallions. Someone else get up in the rafters, start dropping down chests. And then we'll get then we solve the puzzle first. And then after we solve the puzzle, get all the chests out of the room. And then after we get all the chests out of the room, then we start picking up the gold piles. And you get really coordinated. It's fun to be coordinated and come in with a game plan and just get as much, kind of maximize the amount of treasure we get. And then you come back out and you found that your ship got sunk while you were in there. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, but I really like the way that like I said, it just adds another way to play the game. If you want to sail for the gold hoarders, if you're doing a gold hoarder emissary, then you're like, oh, well, I could just, go dig up treasure, or I could go for Vault of the Ancients, and it's varied. And I can't wait to see what they do to spice up the merchants.
Right. One would assume that's coming soon, next up in the pipeline. Maybe not next month, but next in the plan, because they extended the level cap on everything back in April with the Ships of Fortune update. So they extended the level cap on those original companies that you've been kind of used to for 2 years, 3 years, and then they added in a new voyage for the Order of Souls. Now they've added in a new voyage for the Gold Hoarders. And these voyages are locked away for players until you're level 25 or higher. So for us, that doesn't matter because we've been playing since day one. But if you were joining brand new today, I think that really adds a lot to the progression feel, where you can't buy an emissary flag until you hit level 15. You can't do a treasure vault or a ghost voyage until you hit level 25. And so on your journey to Pirate Legend, it really breaks it up and adds it feels like you're expanding the game's possibilities as you play more and progress further. And that is great.
It gives you incentive too. It gives you more incentive than just, I want to see this number tick off so I can reach Pirate Legend.
Right. And it's great.
The game itself is opening up for me as I play.
And it's nice to have it kind of gated that way so that the game's not throwing too much at you at once. When you first log in as a brand new player, there's only one type of Gold Hoarder voyage, and you learn the ropes of how to do that. But by the time you hit level 25, now here's another kind of Gold Hoarder voyage, a higher risk, higher reward. And so, that's cool, the way that eases you into it and then gives you a really good feeling of progression, and you're building up to stuff and unlocking new things to do. I wish there were more stuff in the game that worked that way, that you unlock a new thing to do only when you get to a certain level. I guess I just Pirate Legend is like that. Yeah, I just hope they increase the level cap again to level 100 soon, because on tomorrow's stream, I'm probably going to hit 75 with Order of Souls, and I won't be far. It won't be too long after that until I hit that with Gold Hoarders. So yeah, I'm 75 Gold Hoarders, and I'm close on the other two. I think that maybe they kind of messed the progression up a little bit when they expanded the level cap, because the journey from level 49 to level 50 was such a gap. It really felt like it was a slow grind to tick away at it. And then getting from 50 all the way to 75 didn't feel like it took too much, So I think they could have made that harder, made that take longer, and then it would have incentivized you to do the emissary stuff more, because the emissary is a multiplier, lets you progress much faster at the much higher risk. But I think that it wasn't really balanced for emissaries. It was balanced for, if you weren't doing emissaries, it would take a while. But if you do emissaries, you just level up so fast.
You do. You So it's great, because I'm going to be a level 75 Order of Souls person thing, whatever, tomorrow. But I do kind of wish I would have more to shoot for other than just the Order of Souls commendations after that, because I do enjoy just doing, traditional stuff for these companies. And I feel like for so long, the game wasn't about that. It was about all these Bildrat mercenary voyages and just the time limited nonsense. And I felt like the heart of the game had kind of gotten astray. It was just separated from the core fundamentals of it. And emissaries brought all of that back, but it's just too fast, too quick to level up. So, anyway, the Vaults of the Ancients also introduced in-game another character from the expanded universe, one that Cameron and I talked about quite a bit just a few months ago.
That's right. It's Jedi Master Tyvaka. Isn't that cool? A Jedi that is a Wookiee, and his lightsaber is yellow. That is weird, but cool. This is the guy that trained Plo Koon, as we all know from the Jedi Council in the prequels. But
Jeff.
Yeah?
I have to ask, did you just pull Tyvaka out of your ass, or is that an actual Star Wars expanded universe character?
Yeah, dude, go back and read the books. Come on. It's a real character. It's a real thing. And it's no longer canon. This is a pre-Disney timeline, I guess. But you know what? Fuck Disney. I bet that Disney murdered people. You know what? Disney murdered people. I bet he did.
Even if you pulled Tyvaka out of your ass, at least I know it's filtered. So it's still
good,
pure to drink.
Good to drink.
That Wookiee can still nourish you.
You wouldn't want to eat anything that has not been in my ass. We only eat butt food.
At breakfast, yeah. So Lorena has been added to Sea of Thieves, and she effectively replaces Duke. Now, Lorena was already mentioned in Sea of Thieves as the head of the Bilge Rats, but it was kind of a blink and you miss it line of dialogue. Well, I mean, I don't miss any dialogue because that's what I obsess over when I play games like this, but most people are not going to see that.
But if you did miss it,
people...
you head on over to Golden Sands blog post because Dre writes up a monthly lore post that catalogs and documents any time-limited dialogue that you might have missed, and you can go back and just read it in there. We've got it all. So check it out.
Check it out. And hello to Dre. I see Dre is in our live stream now. Hi, Dre. Good job. Good work over there on that Golden Sands blog post. But yeah, Lorena, so Lorena's the head of the Bilge Rats, and she's been mentioned in-game, but now she's a physical character appearance in the DKU. So whenever she's spun off into her own game series, we will cover her. But she is now, well, she's hanging out in the taverns, but I guess right now they have her stationed outside the taverns, fiddling with a mango.
I think that, I'm not sure if she's going to move around every month the way that Duke used to. You know, Duke was in the tavern, but every month they would just pose him in a new pose. Maybe he's laying on the table. Maybe he's leaning up by the camp, by the fire. Maybe he's leaning against the post.
Oddly, the Duke posings got oddly sexual for a while. Like, he was splaying at times, like just, and he was like a romance novel cover. And granted, a lot of those romance novels, like the cheap Harlequin ones, they're like often about dukes. Like,
yeah, but I don't think I think he was splaying out.
The Duke's sordid scandal.
He wasn't splaying out sexually. He was airing out because, you know, deodorant had not yet been invented. And so he's just like, you know, it's tropical climate. I got to really air out and spread out my limbs because there's a lot of swampification happening. And then that can be bad because it can develop into fungal situations. Anyway. You didn't mention that Lorena, she by the way, she's not splaying out sexually at all. She's just eating a mango.
She's not even eating it. She's just playing with a knife.
I hope that mango has been in a butt, because it would be gross to eat it otherwise. But you didn't mention she comes from the book. You just...
Well, I said EU.
Yeah, you didn't mention what makes her significant. Why would we be excited about her character? She's like the protagonist of the book.
She's half a protagonist. She's in the even-numbered chapters of Sea of Thieves, Athena's Fortune. So she's in the present-day chapters, which were present-day for the book, but the past for the game.
Yeah, so it's a cool development to see her go from being, you know, her character arc from the book, and then we now see that what has happened after the book is that she is now the head of the Bilge Rats. So... which fits her character, but it's still a cool development. And also, Duke was getting a little... Duke's been on a downslide for a while in terms of his mental state. He seems like it's good for him to retire at this point. And they've moved him. He's now hanging out with another expanded universe character, Umbra, over on the Lagoon of Whispers. And so what's great about that is I think now they can do more interesting things with Duke and expand his arc where he had been kind of washed up to that point. And
they had to replace Duke in the past with Stitcher Jim. There was a while Stitcher Jim was in the tavern and he was working with the Bilge Rats at the time, and he was like his faux redemption arc, which he's a con artist, so you know obviously that didn't pan out for him or for anyone. But Duke wasn't even in the game at all at that point. Now Duke has kind of been permanently retired to Laguna Whispers with Umbra, although they do have the option of using him for things like Tall Tales or fucking killing him outright or making him a skelly or I don't know, turning him into an octopus.
He does have little journals littering the island that you can read, and it's funny. It's kind of cute. The journals start out. They're obviously written from Duke's perspective, but he doesn't know how to read and write at first. Like he's he starts out very rudimentary, very bad at it. And through the journey, he's like, oh yeah, Umbra's teaching me how to write. And then he just gets better at it in each subsequent journal. But he's kind of having this little existential crisis of like, well, what do I do now? I wasn't happy anymore being a bilge rat, but maybe the Reaper's bones have it right with their way of life, which is kind of scary. That would be bad.
Yeah. It's like, oh, Duke, don't go down that path. It is like, your old friend starts talking about QAnon and you're like, yeah, wait, what? Why did you mention QAnon? And they're like, no, look, it's not crazy. I don't really believe it, but what if JFK Jr. faked his death? It's like, what are you talking about? Where's this coming from?
I heard that Obama murdered the SEALs that killed the real SEAL Team 6. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why Clapper hasn't been in a game since Donkey Kong Land 2.
Obama clubs SEALs. I heard it. You heard it here first, folks. So,
but yeah, you're like, oh no, Duke, no. But not Umbra. Sorry, Lorena. Lorena is a great character. She was a great character in the novel. I love how she throws some shade at Duke, talking about how his quest had become tired, which I take as a slam on the rag and bone crate. Like, in my mind, that's what that's referring to. Like, oh, that sucked. That was a wet fart that wasn't even filtered through Jeff's asshole hair. But also, Lorena has not become a pirate legend yet. She's still refusing the title pirate legend, even though she's more than qualified for it, which is just a great little bit about her nonconformist ways. And it's very true to her character that, yeah, she would still not want anything to do with any structure of any sort.
Yeah, it's great. It's cool seeing her. I think the reason she's standing outside the tavern, right in the doorway, and this is why I don't think she'll move around the way Duke did. It's just for visibility. Now, when you spawn in the tavern, which is where you always spawn when you start a game, you have to walk right past her as you leave the tavern. And it's not like the dimly lit insides of the tavern, like she's in bright daylight. So, you can't miss her. And I think that's just a move towards better visibility for, you and I are very in tune with what goes on in the game because of how long we've been playing and how interested we are. But a lot of players maybe don't know what's going on. They don't watch the update videos. They don't read Golden Sands blog post or follow Rare on Twitter. And so maybe they don't know what's going on. And historically, the character of Duke has served the purpose of telling you what's going on. But I think a lot of players can just miss Duke. So her standing there is for that purpose. And they kind of have teased that a lot bigger things are coming for the Bilge Rats in the future. Now that she's there, this has been part of a planned move to maybe innovate or renovate what the Bilge Rats are doing as a group and how it affects our day-to-day life in the game, because they did get kind of outgrew their purpose and haven't been utilized well. And we talked about that on our last episode, some of my ideas on how they could change that. So it looks like they're going through with some big changes, and we'll see that in the next coming months. But more importantly than the Bilge Rats is the Pirate Emporium.
Yeah. So they've added a new type of pet to the game. Now, monkeys and parrots were first, and obviously because those are
they're the piratiest.
Prototypical, pirate companions. And I was advocating for monkeys from the very start, like E3 2015 when Sea of Thieves was announced. It was like, hey rare folk, what if you had a monkey? I called it a monkey butler, so it wasn't really my idea, because I wanted like a monkey who would do things for you on the ship, like put cannonballs in. He would do it slower than you would, so there would be incentive to just not rely on the monkey, but a monkey that would buttle you a little bit. And then I just kept fighting for it. Every time we had a technical alpha survey, I would be like, this is great. Where are the monkeys? and just go from there. So I was very happy to get my monkey Pepito Kong, who is still my most faithful companion in the game. But
I've been around longer than him.
Then they added cats.
Then they added cats. But now the new one is dogs.
Yeah, they've added, which aren't cats. I get, because cats also kind of like were involved with the lore of Sea of Thieves early on. One appeared in the Tales book, and dogs aren't really something I associate much with piracy, but they add a cat, so of course they have to add dogs, and I have no problem with it.
In terms of pirate lore and pirate fiction, dogs are not particularly common in that, but in terms of actual real life history, they were. Yeah, I mean,
pirates are always calling people mangy dogs, and then we have the sea dogs, and
the character of DeMarco
game,
is known for having had a dog. So dogs have been part of Sea of Thieves, or obviously there's Stumpy the dog from the Sea of Thieves tabletop RPG, which is a famous dog. So yeah, but anyway, it's nice that they have added dogs on account of who doesn't like dogs. And I was saying earlier how I never spent any money on the Emporium because I get these ancient skeletons once in a while. They're very rare. And I actually got it the very first day of the Vaults of Ancient update. I was playing with my friend, Mitchell Wolf, and
whose name sounds like a dog.
His name sounds like a dog. Wolves actually invented dogs. I think that Crackpot invented dogs off of wolves, but he didn't invent wolves. Right? So
no, it was basically what happened was it was Marvin Wolf who invented Mitchell Wolf. Wait, what? Okay, so anyway, dogs.
On that very first day of that update, we did a vault. We came out of the vault, and right as we got out of the vault after clearing all the treasure out, an ancient skeleton popped up, and I think I was still trapped inside the vault. I never even saw it, maybe. But Mitchell got it, and then it was a jackpot. Usually you get like 150 ancient coins off of those, and I think we got like 600 or something. And it was more than enough to buy a dog. So Mitchell played the update with me the very first day of the update, and we got an ancient skeleton. We went right to the shop, and we each bought a dog. We each got I believe it's pronounced an Alsatian. And we got them from the same shop. And so I like to headcanon that my dog and his dog are from the same litter, and they're sisters. My dog is named Barfy, and his dog is named Tony Dog Pro Skater.
Right, which has some very, very concerning lore implications for Tony Hawk. Like why did he rip off a dog from the golden age of piracy?
Well, you got to ask NetherRealm and Acclaim Entertainment or whoever made the game, because
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, he's rich, he's famous. If all he's doing is ripping off fictional dogs from pirate times, then we should count our blessings. He's not a murderer.
Yeah, Tony Hawk does not murder people, and this is something we all know.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.